What's up, my people? What's up, my Godhead Root Family Group? That's right, my Godhead Root Family Group. I'm here with my third child, Predestined's Beauty. And I'm here today and we're going to talk about wills. We're going to talk about wills. Every person has a richest dad will and a poorest dad will. Every person has a richest dad will and a poorest dad will. And if your poorest dad's will don't line up with your richest dad's will, then by default, to be considered a wise man or a wise woman, you naturally, automatically reject whatever will, whatever desire, whatever laws, whatever rules, regulations, stipulations, documents, decrees, anything on earth that does not fulfill and complete and do the work and execute the will of the Father in heaven and on earth is to be rejected and discarded. Because the will of the richest dad in heaven and earth supersedes any other will, desire, anything. But if your earthly poorest dad is given a purpose and a calling and talents, 5 bags of talents, to go flip those bags of wealth in the service of the will of the Father. And if your poorest dad on earth matches and aligns his will with the will of the Father, then you have the best of both worlds. That's called the best of both worlds. Understand? If I ever put you in a position where I was steering you down a path that goes against the will that the Creator said, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. So the same way angels, when God said, go down there and angels go and carry it out. That's the same way every single commandment of God is supposed to be carried out here on earth. And if I, as a parent, or if a spouse, or if a family, any family, it don't matter who it is. Any person of influence, any person that claims to be your loved one or whatever, if they lead it and guiding you, even if it's out of ignorance, even if you got family members and loved ones that claim that they know God and love God, but because of their ignorance, they've been deceived, it's your job to be able to know for a fact what your Father's will is for you and line up everything in your life. You gotta line both worlds up. That's what the best of both worlds mean. Yes, you're gonna have to have a family. Yes, you're gonna have to have a whatever. But your job daily is to be lining those up. And I'm gonna show y'all what that looks like. All right. So so we talking about wills today because we had death in the family. All right. And because death has been all around us, um, I'm gonna take the time to sit down with my child and prepare her to execute wills. It's time to execute the will. And we carved out a very special place, a safe haven, for when these future generations come under attack. There's a safe place, a sanctuary, a safe haven, set apart, where they can have the best of both worlds and execute on a day-to-day basis these wills. And a will is meant to be a transfer of wealth. That's what a will is. You understand what a will is? It's just a will. That's your father is sovereign. Your heavenly father is sovereign. Your earthly mother is sovereign. Your heavenly mother, the Holy Ghost, is sovereign. And when they handed down the kingdom to us through the command of dominion, you have dominion, be fruitful and multiply, replenish the earth and subdue it. Then it's our job to keep handing that estate, that will down. All right. So Aunt Diane passed away. Aunt Diane passed away. And Aunt Diane is from the older generation. Right? Aunt Diane is older than Grandma Bev. All right. So Aunt Diane is considered the older generation. And so what the challenge is to be able to communicate, be able to reveal how this family, how this heritage, this will hands down and applies to the older generations and the younger generations. All right. And our generation is considered the golden age generation. We're right in the middle. All right, sit up. We're right in the middle. Considered the golden age generation. So your grandma Bev and your pop-pop's generation is considered like the baby boomer generation. And then Grandma Leggett and Pop Leggett, they generation, they you could call them the we're gonna call them the Great Depression generation. You could also call your Pop and your Grandma Bev's generation the baby boomer Woodstock generation. All right, Woodstock is a key moment, pivotal moment in time that happened during a generation. So that's 2 generations above my generation. And then you have Xavier and Deja's generation, which they call the millennials. And then Kayla, Eric, you, Keyshawn, and Munchie. 1999, Deja was the last person born. Deja and James are the last two born in the millennial generation. 1999 is the last set of millennials. And in 2019 is the last set of children that will be born in your generation. All right. The world calls your generation the homeland generation. We call your generation the but if not birthright generation. There is no homeland without a birthright. Nobody can claim a homeland without a birthright. All right. Nobody can claim to be free without being able to demonstrate that they've received the will that hands down the estate and the heritage and the customs and the legacy of their ancestors. All right. If you have no land, no estate, no legacy, no heritage, then number one, you're not free. And Western society has done a good job of lying and telling individuals that because Greece and Rome came on the scene, Greece and Rome then took over and enlightened the world, if you will, and own the present world. But there's no way to own sovereign kings and queens and prince and princesses who have a heritage and a legacy of a birthright. Understand what I'm saying? So I want to talk to you about some things that go back to the very beginning of time, but I want to communicate in a way that you and your young people would identify with. All right. So I'm about to hand this to Predestiny. All right. This is what is called a Havilah bar. I'm about to hand this to Predestiny and I'm going to explain what this is. This is what is called a Havilah bar. Now, this and this are the same thing. Same exact thing. This and this, same thing. They both paint pictures. They both tell a story. They both are claiming to put flags down and be heirs to a throne. This is the ultimate battle of the ages. This is the battle of Armageddon. This is the final battle, the final conflict. This is the beginning battle and the beginning conflict. This is RPG. This is Jay-Z. RPG says, in the beginning, Jay-Z Jay-Z's law is Magna Carta. Nowhere close to the beginning. Magna Carta, that's 1500s, Great Britain. In God we trust. I'm telling you. What God, Jay? What God? When you ask RPG, in God we trust, what God? The I.T.B. God. What happened in I.T.B. in the beginning? In the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God. The Word was God. And the Word became flesh. And it dwelt among us in the beginning. What else happened in the beginning, RPG? That word said, let there be light. Jay-Z talks about his Magna Carta and his age of enlightenment, age of reason, Renaissance, New Age movement, metaphysics, ignorance. It's not new. There's nothing new under the sun. What sun? These grasshopper sun gods, if you're talking to Jay. There's nothing new under the sun. What sun? The I.T.B. In the beginning, Son, the Creator, the Son of God. The Son is the image of the Godhead bodily. Not the Son in the heavens. The Son, Michael Emmanuel, the Archangel. The Son is the image of the Godhead bodily. So now you see the two options. You see the contrast. I'm going to do this to Predestiny when she comes back. And there's a story behind this. And I'm going to share it with her when she comes back down. And what we're going to be talking about is the mother tongue. Hurry up, Destiny. So take this. So what do you see? No, read. What are you looking at? Read it. What are you looking at? Two Edge Records
presents the beginning.
The beginning. All the time you hear me say I.T.B, right? In the beginning, right? You see any dates on that? No dates. Not on the side, not on the back, not. Look closely.
1998.
1998. All right. So is there some songs on the back of there? 1998. So can you read some of the songs? What does say some of the titles of the songs?
Um, King Solomon Reminisce.
King Solomon, Reminisce. All right, what's the next song?
Alienation, Take It Personal.
Alienation, Take It Personal. Then who did it say it? Wrote Take It Personal.
Rugged Prophetic Ghost.
Rugged Prophetic Ghost. Go ahead.
Millennium
Millennium,
Hotep.
Hotep,
Stillborn.
Stillborn,
Prodigal 27.
Prodigal 27,
Produced by Millennium.
produced by Millennium. What's the next song?
Seventh Seal, Facts of Life.
Seven Seal. What's the next song?
Heads Minister.
Okay, what's the next song? Heads Minister.
King Solomon, Autumn Leaves.
King Solomon. What's the next song?
Alienation, Meet Alienation.
Alienation, Meet Alienation. Who would say wrote that song?
Millennium.
Millennium. All right. So our generation, it's called Generation X. So it's five generations, really. Most of that older generation is gone. All right. But Grandma Leggett is still here. So we still count that generation. Because some of them still around. All right. So it's Grandma Legett's generation. Pop and Grandma Bev and their generation. Then it's our generation. Then you got Xavier and Deja's generation, the millennials. They call us Generation X. They call Deja and Xavier's generation, Millennium generation. They call your generation Homeland. That's 5 generations. And we are the heart and soul, smack dab, Generation X. All right. Generation X, it was during our generation that Yo MTV Raps and MTV and BET and VH1 exploded. All right. There was no MTV, no BET, no, none of that. You know what I'm saying? Prior to in my dad's generation, none of that was around. All right. The art form that they call rap was created 76, 2 years after I was born. All right. So in order to broadcast that to the world, like 10 years later, the network started investing in music videos and all of that. Okay. MTV shot a music video. Michael Jackson did a music video in the 80s. All right. When he went solo, this is one of the first albums, the Off the Wall album, the Thriller album, Beat It, all of them. Like those are the first, like it was no music videos before then. You know what I'm saying? So like that stuff was like the Jackson 5s and all the albums that they did before then, they ain't had no music videos, and it wasn't people couldn't turn on to MTV and watch the Jackson 5s perform and blah 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? They would go live on these different shows like Soul Train, and you know what I'm saying? They had different shows that they would air. And that was like music videos for my dad and my grandparents' generation, you know what I'm saying? But our generation, they started filming actual music videos, and then we would go to MTV and they would just play music videos all day. You know what I'm saying? That was new. You know what I'm saying? This is the beginning of pop culture. All right. So our generation, we are the bridge and the gap when it comes to everything pertaining to pop culture and all of that. You know what I'm saying? Like they tried to sell our generation and your generation certain stuff from our parents' generation, but our generation was the one that was like, yo, all that hippie stuff that my dad and them was doing in Woodstock and what how they was dressing and all that, like we was the ones like, yo, we ain't with all of that, yo. We cool. So going forward, the companies are still trying to shape your image, your how what you think, how you see yourself, your self-esteem, your by this one little word called culture. All right. Culture really is nothing. All right. Culture is nothing. They want you to think that culture is very important. Culture is who you are. Culture is your identity. Culture is nothing. All right. Don't ever get caught up in black people run around here talking about, oh yeah, our African culture. We don't have no African culture. Okay. The root word of culture is cult. Okay. The original word occult just means hidden. All right. Hidden. Occult. It's hidden. All right. So what are they hiding? What's the secret? What do they want you to identify with? What lie? What deceit? What deception? What wickedness? What trash do they want you to buy into? And they use popular culture. They use American idols to sell the popular culture. All right. So that record was us in 1998 getting together and saying, yo, they trying to sell our generation this. They trying to tell us that this is who we are. This is our identity. We gangsters, we thugs, we da 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 da. And that record was just us saying, yo, we grew up in these same neighborhoods. We walk these same streets. We face these same war on drugs, drug epidemic. We face everything, school, prison, we face all of these challenges. And the image that they putting on Yo MTV Raps, the image that they put on BET and VH1 and at the MTV Music Awards and at the Grammys and all of that. That's not who our generation is. That's not who we are. They don't represent us. You know what I'm saying? All right. So what we was giving the people right there, we call it the mother tongue. The what? The mother tongue. Have you ever heard that term before? Okay, they talk about motherland. They talk about mother tongue. Mother tongue is your original language. Okay. So in the word it says every nation, kindred, tongue, and people, right? Will bow down and confess that God is Lord. So Nate, follow the progression. All right. Nation, kindred, tongue, said mother tongue, and people, right? But in the beginning, in Genesis 4:25, it says, and the people began to call on the name of the Lord, right? So if it starts out with Adam and Eve, and then they have a couple of children, then it says, and then the people, right? And then you go back up that chart. People, the tongue, kindred or your clan, and then nation. All right. So as it expands, as more and more people grow, our people devolved from one people, one people being all connected and having the same tongue and calling on the name of the Lord. So then when it came to later on, a couple chapters later, Tower of Babel was, you had different groups of people who wanted to call on different gods. The people were no longer unified, right? And there was just one mother tongue at first. Sit up, sit up. There was just one mother tongue. This is important, all right? Just one mother tongue to communicate between God's children and their Father, their Creator. Right? Remember, he came down and walked, and he, where are you? That's communicate. That's a question. You know what I'm saying? They answered, yo, we over here, but we saw we was naked. You know what I'm saying? This is that one language. All right. So what's up, mama? Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm ready.
Good.
There's a woodpecker up there pecking on the.
I done heard it before too. I done heard it on my side of the wall before too. It was on your side?
Yeah. I got up and slapped the wall. I said, that is not wood.
Did he go away?
Yeah, he flew to the top
Wow.
and started pecking that. I said, hey, that is not wood.
That is crazy.
You hear me out there patting the wall so he would get off the right side of the wall?
That's
Somebody
crazy.
was working on the roof. That was me.
I'm gonna come back and wrap this one up.
He needs to go find some wood.
That's crazy.
Maybe he chopped